Imagination is often the key for healing. It's a fun distraction from pain and overwhelm. It gives the brain a break from stress, emotional fatigue, and fear. You breathe differently when you are caught up in the wonderland of imagination. The subconscious is the ultimate BS detector. So if we're lying to ourselves, we're going to pay the price, and it's going to show up as despair, emotional heaviness, cognitive dissonance, imposter syndrome, and the like. However, the subconscious doesn't always know the difference between what is real or what is false when you program it in a positive way. This is one of those complex, mental experiences, how if we are lying to ourselves, it can actually work against us. And yet, the polar opposite of that is with a good imagination, you can actually heal yourself. So let me explain. The subconscious will always know when you're lying about the negative traits and behaviors that you employ, but it interprets imagination differently. When you imagine something positive, it feels good. This affects your nervous system, and you breathe differently when you are imagining something fun than when you are caught up in stress. So, if you're a person who is not actually operating in integrity and honesty, and you're not actually doing the work for self-development and self-improvement, and let's say that you try and say some affirmations, but you're not really doing the work, so your lifestyle isn't matching the words that you are speaking. The words may be very positive, but your brain isn't stupid. Your nervous system isn't stupid. In fact, your cells and your organs, your blood and your bones, they're like, what is he talking about? What are they talking about? So the idea is to live a congruent life. Nobody's perfect, but to the best of our abilities, mean what we say what we mean, show up. If we really want to accomplish a goal, then take the action steps that are necessary to meet that goal. And they don't have to be big, huge, massive steps. But like, let's say, for example, we want to lose weight or tone up our bodies, very simple things such as cutting out sugar, eating smaller portion sizes, increasing exercise, drinking more water, and getting rest. These are very simple, small steps. If you say affirmations that support weight loss or physical fitness while taking these just simple, basic, small steps, you're in congruence with the goal, and your brain and your body are going to show up for you. So if you can upload new mental software as imagination, you can convince the subconscious that you're already transforming your life for the better. I call it tricking the subconscious. Feed it so much good stuff until it begins to feed it right back to you with positive thoughts and feelings. It's important to remember that the subconscious can be your best friend or your worst enemy. It can be your cheerleader or an inner critic. And we all know what that's like, that inner critical voice that, it can be so mean. The inner critical voice, man, with a voice like that, you don't need enemies, right? Nobody can tear us down like we can tear ourselves down with our own thoughts. And then, of course, our feelings. And if we add words into the mix, we really don't even need enemies, right? Outside of us, because the enemy within can take us out. So it all depends on how you're feeding the subconscious and what you're feeding it, and whether you've been, kind to yourself, or whether you're learning to be kind or not. Now, you can use your thoughts, feelings, and your words to inspire your own brain and body or you can single-handedly self-destruct by your own doing. For example, if you say things like, I'm dying over here. Now, that's an interesting statement. You may actually mean that it's just so hot. Maybe you're in a region where it's just so hot. It's so unbearable. I'm dying. Oh my gosh, it's so hot. Or you may actually mean that you heard something that was so ridiculously funny that you just can't stop laughing. It's so hard to focus right now. In fact, you're laughing so hard, you're dying over here. You can't even breathe. It's just so funny, right? The meaning isn't exactly clear. So when in doubt, the body is going to revert back to what it thinks you mean based on your typical state of being. Okay? All of the body systems will do this, your organs, your cells, your blood, your bones. So if you tend to be a negative, person, maybe depressed most of the time, or maybe you're highly anxious, the brain and the body will interpret I'm dying as a lack of will to live, right? Literally, I'm dying. So if you tend to be a person who sees the glass as, half full, or typical negative mindset, when you say things like I'm dying, it doesn't work for you. It actually works against you. So words are very important, and feelings and behaviors are equally important. They all go together, and they all feed off of each other or build, upon one another. So if you're a person who's trying to reprogram or reset your brain, it is very important that you be truthful and honest, but at the same time, upbeat and positive. You don't want to exaggerate and lie to yourself and say things like, I'm a rock star, because if that's not how you feel, that's going to keep you in a state of cognitive dissonance, because you don't feel congruent internally saying I'm a rock star. But maybe you can say something like, I'm doing my best. I show up in the best ways I know how. I'm a person of integrity. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to grow. You see, these, for most of us, would be truth statements. Even if we aren't perfect, even if there are a lot of areas of our lives that we can still improve, a statement like, I'm willing to learn and grow, there's no lie in that. It's a very truthful, honest, even vulnerable statement. And your brain, especially the subconscious part of the brain, will find no fault in it. See, the reason our subconscious becomes negative, or that inner critical voice, our worst enemy, is because it's finding fault in what we say and what we do. It knows that we're not showing up as the best part of us with our best potential, and it actually can't stand that. The subconscious wants us to be truthful and aligned with our truest potential. It'll always support integrity and honesty and truthfulness, even vulnerability. The subconscious won't use that against us when it's coming from an honest place with an intention to be the best version of ourselves, to pull ourselves out of the hole and to learn and grow and integrate what we're learning and growing in the best ways. So with good imagination, we can create a whole new perspective on so many things. We can print new pictures in our minds. And, the mind's eye is very interesting. It will accept whatever you conceive, whatever you can create there. So if you fill it with positive coping skills, healthy boundaries, and an image of self-love, the possibilities are endless. Now let's explore some creative emotional management techniques. I'm using 3 different decks currently. The DBT deck for clients and therapists by Dr. Lane Pedersen, and DBT stands for Dialectical Behavioral Therapy. I'm also using the Clarity cards by Girls Gone Happy, and I'm using the Four Agreements cards. That's a deck by Don Miguel Ruiz that goes along with his beautiful book, The Four Agreements. Card decks are an easy way to stay on top of your mental health on a daily basis. If you don't feel like you have the time to meditate or journal or do something proactive for your mental health, cards geared towards mental, emotional, and spiritual stability can be very helpful. They're grounding because the topics are already pre-selected. You don't even have to really think about it. All you have to do is read the card and breathe. If you don't have time, you can reflect, journal, meditate, and do any suggested exercises later when you do have time. But in the moment, just pick a card at least once daily so that you can maintain your good self-care and a healthy mindset. Picking a card daily may not solve all of your problems, but at least you will have committed to your mental health for a few moments, and you'll be able to say you got your mental health energy shot for the day. This maintains internal congruence. It keeps you out of cognitive dissonance because you'll know on a very deep intrinsic level, subconscious and consciously, that you are doing your best and you do take your mental health seriously. So now let's read some cards. From the DBT deck, I'm reading, What is Mindfulness? Mindfulness is choosing to be aware of this moment on purpose, non-judgmentally. When we are being mindful, we gather our attention and then choose to focus or concentrate it on what we want to observe or do. In this moment, choose to focus your mind where you want it to be. Perhaps you focus on your emotions, your thoughts, your bodily sensations, what you experience through your senses or your surroundings. Hold your attention there, being in that moment. And this is a great space to just take a nice deep inhale and exhale. And from the Clarity deck, this card is called Metamorphosis. You've changed. How? What needs to happen so you can accept those changes and thereby bring movement into this area of your life? And from the Four Agreements card deck, it's broken up into 4 sections. This one is Always Do Your Best. That's the category. The card says, Stay in the present moment. That's actually mindfulness. Keep your attention on today and stay in the present moment. This is the beginning of a new understanding, a new dream. Now take a nice deep breath and notice how just picking 3 cards can help you feel grounded. It can spark reflection. It opens the door to possibility. Your imagination is actually operating without you doing a lot. You just read 3 cards, or I read the cards. You listened. But you could go in several different directions just based on these cards. You can journal if you like. You can take a nice walk and ponder. You can paint. You can draw. You can write a poem. You can do a blog. You can do a vlog. So many different options. just because you read 3 cards. And you can use these types of cards in the morning. You can have them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Do one on your lunch break, maybe during your workday, and one in the evening, or you can do all three in, the morning or the middle of the day. You get to decide. That's also using your imagination. Do you need that mental health energy shot, 3 times a day? Do you prefer to do it after the gym? Do you like to do them before you go to sleep at night? You get to decide. But card decks are a wonderful way to stimulate the imagination while protecting your mental health. So I'm hoping that this is helpful. I'm going to actually be reading a few more cards to you in the next few clinical insight talks. Be well on your mental health journey. Don't forget to breathe. Don't forget to set positive intentions for your mental health. And don't forget to give yourself permission to do your best. Your brain can work with that. Your subconscious finds no fault in you doing your best. It doesn't matter how many mistakes you've made. It doesn't matter how many times you've fumbled the ball in your life. You don't have to be perfect. But if you show up for yourself and you demonstrate to your own brain and body that you are committed to wellness and your own personal development, your entire team will fight for you. And what do I mean by your entire team? Brain, body, cells, organs, blood, bones, the whole team will fight for you, and you'll remain healthy, mind, body, spirit, energy. Hoping that this is helpful for you. Stay the course. Honor yourself with mental health tips and tricks and, clarity. Do all those things that keep you aligned and congruent.